Hi, my name is Ken, and today we're going to be showing you how easy it is to install the Melken WeatherGuard system on these garage doors. Now, the Melken WeatherGuard system is a powder-coated extruded aluminum product that replaces that inferior plastic product that you may have on your garage door. What we have is, again, is a powder-coated extruded aluminum. We've got a high-grade rubber that actually slides into the metal. This allows the rubber and the metal to expand at different levels, so this allows for proper expansion and contraction. And if this rubber ever does get damaged, you can simply slide it out, slide a new piece back into the main frame without replacing the whole weather stripping system. So today we're going to get started on showing you how easy it is to install your new Melken WeatherGuard system. So as you can see, we have everything set up ready to go for this particular installation. The first thing we're going to do is give you an example of the steps you need to take to get the Melken WeatherGuard system installed. The first thing you want to do when you arrive at their job site, after you get all your equipment set up, is you want to check the operation of the garage door. If you're dealing with a new garage door, as we are here today, you would assume things are all in working order, but we want to verify that before we get started. So we're going to open this garage door and close it and see how it functions. So one of the first things we want to do is to take notice of how our garage door sits against the jamb, and if there's any play in the garage door. As I mentioned, this is a new garage door, so everything's pretty uniform. But let's see how the garage door opens and closes. Make sure it operates properly. Go ahead and open. Okay, close it. Now the reason we want to do that is because we want to know how the garage door is operating before we start working on it. That way, if we do anything that causes this garage door not to work properly, we'll want to know about it now. Everything looks good, so we're going to proceed with our next steps. Now the first thing you want to do is, you can see we've already measured our sides and our top. But the first thing we want to do is we have a spacer here. It's 2 3/4 of an inch. So the weather stripping is going to set 2 3/4 of an inch away from the garage to the outside edge of our weather stripping. What we want to do now, before we do anything else, is to measure how far away our weather stripping is going to set from the garage door. And that is 2 3/4 of an inch. So basically our garage door weather stripping is going to set right here, 2 3/4 of an inch away from the garage door. You want to make sure your garage door is pushed in and there's no play in the garage door. As you measure, you want to push the garage door all the way in. And in this case, we've already put a piece of tape to mark where our weather stripping will go. Our new weather stripping will be installed in this manner with the hex head screws that we've supplied in the kit. So at this point, we want to take our top measurement. We want to measure the top from end to end and measure tight. What we have is 118 inches. And we want to record that measurement, but we're going to cut this 1/8 of an inch longer than what our measurement is, and we'll cut this piece to fit. So 118 3/8. We'll record this measurement, 118 3/8, and we'll go over and take our product out of the package and get started with our first cut. The next thing we're going to do is take our Melken WeatherGuard out of the package. Simply cut the end of the box. Carefully remove the pieces and set them on the sawhorse. If you've ordered your product online or purchased it in a store, this is how you'll receive your product. This is a single garage door kit. It comes with everything you need for a complete installation. In a single garage door kit, we have 2 8-foot pieces for the side jambs and 1 10-foot piece for the header jamb. Now there should also be a package of screws and an installation manual inside this box. And in this case, it must be on the other end. So we'll turn this around. Looks like it's actually in the box on the other end. There we go. Inside is a complete instruction manual giving you instructions on how to install the Melken WeatherGuard. It also comes with color-coded screws, enough to complete the installation. The next thing we want to do is remove our plastic, remove our rubber. We'll set the rubber over here, remove the installation tape. The next thing we want to do before we install our rubber is we want to cut the length of our piece. Now this is an 8-foot piece, so we're going to set our rubber to the side and we're going to unpackage our 10-foot piece. As you're removing the rubber, you want to keep from letting it touch the ground. You want to keep your rubber clean. We're going to cut our length. We want to make sure that we have ear protection and eye protection when we're using a power saw. And it's important to be extremely careful cutting aluminum. We had 118 3/8 of an inch was our measurement. Place a mark there. Carefully line your piece up with the mark. We want to start the saw fully. Blow off any metal filings. The next step will be to test fit our piece. Got your side in? As we can see, our piece is a little tight. That's okay. We would rather be too tight than too short. So we'll come down and we'll cut a blade's width off. Put it in place on your end. Now we have a nice tight fit. That's exactly what we want. We again remove the piece carefully. We'll set it back on our sawhorses and install the rubber. Now there are times when it's necessary to apply a little silicone. In this case, we have some 409. We spray on the end of our rubber to help get it started. One of the things we want to do, we want to make sure we're installing our rubber to where the angle of the rubber is up this way. Pull it into place as Declan holds his end, guiding it in place. Pull the rubber past the end. We want about 1 inch past, and we have extra on this end. One of the important things is to make sure your rubber is scrunched together to allow for any initial shrinkage. The next step, we'll cut our ends. Cut them about 1/4 of an inch longer than the end of your metal. Make sure and cut it straight. Come to this end. Again, make sure we don't have any stretching, but we actually want the rubber scrunched together a little bit to allow for any initial shrinkage. 1/4 of an inch long. Now we'll install our piece. Now that we have our rubber installed into our metal mainframe, we're ready to install. Flex the piece to allow it to slide into place. Pull the rubber back. Once your metal is lined up with the edge of your tape, put your first screw in. Make sure and drill straight. Don't over tighten. We'll come over to the middle, put one screw in, and we'll continue putting the other screws in. Once those pieces are in place, you're now ready to measure your side jambs. We'll start from our top. Measure from the outside edge. That's going to be your longest point, because in most cases there's a little bit of a slope at the bottom of the concrete. It looks like 94 inches, 94 1/2. Again, we're going to cut this a little long, so we'll cut it 94 5/8 to make sure we have a tight fit. Record that measurement, 94 5/8. And we'll go to our other side and measure that side. Again, we want to measure the outside edge to compensate for the slope in the concrete. Again, we have 95 1/2. We're going to cut it at 95 5/8. Record your measurement and get ready to cut your next pieces. Again, we'll measure our piece, 94 5/8. It's important when you're cutting aluminum that before you make a new cut that you don't have any aluminum pieces sticking down in the saw guide. If that happens, you could cause damage to yourself or someone else or to the material. So be keenly aware of what you're doing. We'll cut our square cut first. And you always take note of the slope in your concrete. In this case, we have a slight angle on our concrete, so we want to put a slight angle on the bottom of our piece. This will be the bottom, so we're going to put a 3-degree angle on our piece. Now this piece is sloped goes to the inside of the garage. This part sticks to the outside. So this will be our longest side when it comes to cutting an angle. Make sure you pay attention to that. Again, we'll test fit our piece first. Blow off any metal filings. That's a good fit. We have a little clearance, but there's also a little expansion and contraction that goes on with the concrete. So that's good. We'll slide our rubber in place. Again, make sure the rubber always goes in so it's pointing up away from the finished side of the product. Again, we want to make sure we don't have any stretch. We actually want to scrunch the rubber together. Make sure there's no stretching or binding. We'll cut our top 1/4 inch longer than it needs to be. And on this end, we'll also cut it 1/4 of an inch longer, but we'll put a slight angle on the rubber. Again, we'll install our piece using the fasteners that we supplied. Make sure that our piece is lined up. Make sure your piece is pushed up tight to the top and lined up with the existing piece. Put one in the top, one in the bottom. Continue with the other screws. We'll continue with our other piece, the right side. Again, we had 94 5/8. In this case, this side will be the bottom. We'll cut our straight cut first. Make sure and set our saw back on 0. Make sure that it's square, 94 5/8. And again, we'll set our saw at 3 degrees. Make sure you're not cutting off any of the length of the piece. You're just putting an angle on the end. In this case, we're a little long, so we need to cut approximately about 1/2 of a blade width. Just fit our piece. We've got a nice fit. Remove our piece, install the rubber. It's important to try to keep the rubber as clean as you can. We'll clean everything up after it's installed. This is our angled end, so we want a slight angle on our rubber, 1/4 inch longer than the metal. We're ready to slide our piece into place. Start with the top first. Pull the rubber up, slide the piece in place. Make sure your metal is pushed all the way up and lined up with your tape. Basically the other piece. One on the top, one on the bottom, one in the middle, and we'll proceed with the other fasteners. Now that we have our new Melken WeatherGuard system installed, we're going to remove the tape. So now we're going to make sure that our rubber is clean and the main frame is clean. Don't rub it, just go one direction. We've installed the Melken WeatherGuard system. So we're going to see how the garage door closes, inspect the seal all the way around, make sure that it's sealing properly, and it's looking like it's sealing very well. Open. So we know that the garage door is functioning properly. Close. Congratulations! We just installed a new Melken WeatherGuard system, the best garage door seal on the market. It will increase the performance, appearance, and quality of any garage or overhead door system. On this particular project, we've installed a Melken WeatherGuard system on each of these garage doors. They're 10 foot wide by 8 foot high. These are brand new garage doors, and this system works extremely well. Thank you again for watching. Look for Melken WeatherGuard at your supply store, hardware store, lumber yards, or your local contractor. Thank you again.